Well, Justin, congratulations on the film.
Thank you.
Not the first film, of course, that's been made about Ned Kelly. Obviously, that didn't discourage you. Was it an encouragement for you to make the film?
Yeah, actually, it kind of. I mean, you're kind of on a highway to a hiding, doing something like this. And my writer always said, "There's just no way we're going to get out of this, dirt free with a story like." True history that's, about Ned Kelly that's been told 100 times before. But there was just such a fresh perspective, in Peter's book. It was just it just felt really familiar. It felt like a guy that I'd grown up, through school with. There was just something very modern about it. And that whole idea of, your history being stolen from you and what's real and what's not, and trying to protect a kind of legacy, and the way we've kind of shifted and changed his narrative to fit whatever agenda we have as Australians. All of that was much larger than the kind of man that I was sort of most attracted to.
And there's a very definite 3-act structure to the film. Was that something that you took from Peter Carey's book?
A little bit. It does sort of play as a sort of, the childhood years, and then the sort of, beginnings and innocence of man, then to kind of, the shootout at Glenrowan. I think when we decided that the shootout in Glenrowan was the kind of opus of the film, and it was where you saw the evolution of him turning into the ironclad monitor, and that's when we sort of realised what the film was about, and what the journey for George was going to be. So that structure definitely kind of helped us sort of frame it in a way that we could sort of understand while we were making it.
And you often hear Ned Kelly being described as the Australian Robin Hood. That's probably too simplistic. How would you describe him?
Well, I think he's a kind of phantom. I don't know kind of who he is and what he is. He's a beer coaster. He's a section in the opening games, Olympic Games. He's a tattoo. He's a wine glass. He's many things to many people, and I think that's what the kind of film is about. It's kind of how we've taken this 24-year-old and somehow overloaded him with the kind of question of who we are as Australians, and that there are really hostile kind of feelings towards him. There's those that sort of do look at him as Robin Hood, and others that look at him as a killer and a murderer, and others that feel he's absolutely obsolete, and why the hell do we even kind of speak about him? So he's a very curious kind of figure, and I think we've always sort of, even the artefacts of him, the green sash that he was awarded, his armour, his death mask after he was sort of murdered, they're all in 3 or 4 different museums, and you go and see them, and then they're back somewhere with dim lighting. It's not, we really have an awkward relationship with how we kind of want to embrace him or not. And that's definitely kind of what Peter Carey was sort of playing with, and definitely the thing that we were interested in.
So you chose a Brit to play the role.
Well, he's a half Aussie.
So
George's dad's Australian. Yeah, I mean, look, I never thought, well, we have to find an Australian. I was always like, well, we just have to find the right person. And George came in and was brilliant and wonderful, and there was a quality about him that you were like, I just don't want to see this guy evolve into what he becomes. But then I found out that, his dad was Australian. He'd spent a hell of a lot of time in Australia, and he had this unbelievable passion to sort of go back to Australia and be there, which he was for a long time before the shoot. So, yeah, so I claim George as Australian.
And the right man for the job.
Yeah.
Justin, thank you very much indeed.
Pleasure.
Thank you.